So we're going to have a look at the firmware update process. In order to implement the firmware update smart object, you need to implement the state machine. So the state machine consists of idle, downloading, downloaded, and the updating states. And there is a resource for the state. There is a resource for the result of the update. And as you can see in this schema, the result from beginning is 0, and from updating to idle, if everything is successful, you have a response of 1. And then there is a lot of different numbers here for the update result in order to represent different kinds of update results. So we're going to have a look at the code for the firmware update smart object. At the beginning here, we just define the different resource IDs that we are going to use for this implementation. We defined 4 different states. We define all the different update result values that we can have for the system or for the device update. Here is just a convenience method for updating the actual result via the resource change so that AppIoT can be notified about the new value for the update result when we set that. And there is the similar method for setting the state. This is the read block for read requests for the device. This is nothing that we need to have a deeper look into at this moment. Then we have the write handling here, and we can see that in the case that we have a resource ID for the package URI, that means that AppIoT will write the URL for the device to grab the firmware update file from. So we assign the package URI this value, and this value according to the specification says that this should be cleared when the state is set to downloaded. This is actually handled in the set state method up here. You can see that if the state is downloaded, we clear the package URI. And when we have received a package URI, the device is expected to start the downloading process. So we're moving from idle, we will get the right to package URI, and we enter the downloading state. Start download is a method here, and when we enter in this one, we set the state to downloading. We just create a file representation here, which is more or less just, oh, there's spaces here, which is more or less just put in a packages folder, and the name of the file is just a datetime value, just to keep this example real simple. So we download the file. This is done down here. Before that, we need to check if the package type that we are going to download is supported, if the URL is valid or not, if the protocol is supported or not. Regarding the protocol supported, AppIoT only provides file downloads using HTTP at the moment, so keep that in mind. If we get a response code up here that is not in the 200 range, we are going to consider this one failure. So we're going to set the state to idle and the update result to invalid URI, which would represent the, let's see, number 7 here. So it would represent this arrow down here. We get the input stream, and then we take the input stream for the file content and just copies that to the package file using this convenience method. And then we have to handle the update result for not enough flash memory if we would occur in that scenario. For the connection lost during download, if we can detect that, and the integrity check, if we get a failure in there, we need to handle these kind of stuff. The only thing that we use down in this code here is the connection lost during download, which is if we get any IO exception, then we use this response So if everything goes okay, the state is set to downloaded, and then we enter this state. We then wait for AppIoT to execute the resource for update. And this is done when AppIoT receives the message that the state of the device is in downloaded. Then we fire off the start firmware update. And this is a method in here. So we set the state to updating, which means we do transfer from downloaded to updating. Setting the state, set the update result to initial, which is a 0. We simulate that we are doing something by just sleeping for 5 seconds. Then we need to check the update result for if we have an integrity check failure or the firmware update failed for some reason. We have to handle that. We set this to fail if any exception occurs in this process. Otherwise, we just set the update result to success, which is represented by a 1. And then we set the state to idle. And in that scenario, we are in a state where we have successfully upgraded our firmware of the device. And then there is a little disclaimer down here that we need to update the resource 303. This is the firmware version for the device smart object as well. So there's a connection in between there.